to council. Adoption of the agenda will be the first item of business.
Move. Second.
Adoption, and all those in favor? Motion's carried. No delegations this evening. We do have minutes of the regular council meeting of April 16th for approval.
Move. Second.
All those in favor? Motion's carried. We have for receipt the committee of the whole meeting minutes of April 23rd.
Move. Second.
On receipt, all those in favor? Motion's carried. Several recommendations coming forward from that. First, that the draft 2013 consolidated financial statements, as included in the April 23rd committee of the whole agenda, be approved.
Move. Second.
Discussion, all those in favor? Motion's carried. Second recommendation is regarding plan and report PR 146, 2240 Comox Avenue, Vista Housing Society. And staff be authorized to provide the proponent with a letter expressing the town's interest in investigating participation with CMHC, DC Housing, and the proponent to provide affordable housing in accordance with the following. A, CMHC level 3 affordable unit rent levels, 50 percentile local market rental. B, maximum 50% reduction in town and CBRD development cost charges for the affordable component of the project. C, 10-year tax exemption with renewal option for all improvements, both market and affordable units, but excluding land. D, priority processing. E, waiving of affordable housing contribution on all proposed units, affordable and marketable. And F, town payment of legal fees for tax exemption, bylaw preparation agreement, affordable housing agreement, and related covenants. And also that staff be directed to investigate the DCC reduction on the basis of resulting DCC shortfall being redistributed amongst benefiting parcels on the basis of the establishment of a DCC contingency fund. So it's all that. And a bag of potato chips.
Well, all right.
I have a question.
Yes.
If I could, please. When, under A, it's a question through the chairman of the planner, through the mayor of the planner, but when you're saying CMHC level 3 affordable unit rents, is that for all of the subsidized units? Because I think in his presentation, he was only going to have one at the level 3, right? And then the rest were going to be at like level 2 or level 1?
Yeah, level 1. So the way that the recommendation is worded, those units for which town subsidy would apply, those would have to be targeted to level 3. And
Okay.
so therefore, if they was only able to provide 10 units at level 3, then it would be 10 units at level 3. Under the program, you'll also still have to provide, no matter what, 50% plus 1 at level 1, just to meet the program.
Yeah. See, my concern is that level 1, which he's calling affordable rents, in the Comox Valley are really market rents, you know, and I don't think that meets, you know, if we were to offer subsidies for the level 1 CMHC affordable rents, and that's market rent, then we would be subsidizing market rents, and that's just clearly not fair. And so I just want to be certain that what we're saying here is that any subsidy we give are going to be only for level 3 rents.
That's correct.
Okay, good.
Good point to clear up.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions, comments? So we need a mover of those.
I'll move all those recommendations.
Thank you.
And the bag of chips.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion's carried. All right, and then the third recommendation coming out of the committee of whole was that the 2013 storm system modeling and capital plan study update, 2013 sanitary model update, and September 2013 water system study be formally endorsed.
We'll move that.
Second.
Moved and second, that's for water sanitary and storm capacity studies. All those in favor? Motion's carried. Thanks again for staff for bringing that forward. Okay, we have for approval then the public hearing minutes, which are a special council meeting held at the Stair Center on the 23rd of April.
Move. Second.
Councilor Fletcher.
I forgot I wasn't there, so can I just ask, on page 23, an individual made a comment that she was concerned that the park was not for public use outside of school hours. Was
CAO, can you?
she spoken to them, advised?
The park is not available?
Yeah, on page 23, it says she expressed concern that the park was not for public use outside of school hours.
I think they,
Referring to the school grounds themselves.
Yeah,
the park land is available outside of school hours.
right.
But I think she was referring more to the
school.
overall area,
Oh, was she?
because what we're talking about for the park, the riparian area is shown
Yeah.
on that plan on page 22 is the outline area, but of course, residents consider the whole thing to be a park.
Right.
Which I explained was, it has been a school, it continues to be a school, albeit part of a private school. And the town does have a public right-of-way on the terms that, essentially during school hours, they should respect the fact the school is operating.
And you explained that to me.
I believe I did.
Quite well.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
Thank you for that. Anything further? All in favor? Motion's carried. No committee reports, unfinished business. For receipt at page 31, we have the management report.
Move.
Second?
I'll receipt then. All in favor? Motion's carried. The Island Coastal Economic Trust meeting is this Friday, so hopefully we'll have a bit of an update next meeting on our application.
Fingers crossed.
The, anything else on the management report of any interest? No? All right, so we'll move on to unfinished business number 2, which is regarding the Old Brooklyn School site. We have the OCP bylaw amendment and zoning bylaw amendment for park dedication. And firstly, that park dedication bylaw 1770 be given third reading.
Move.
Second.
At third reading, all those in favor? Motion's carried. I understand we cannot adopt that till the next meeting based on procedural rules. However, we will proceed with third reading of the official community plan bylaw amendment 1771.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion's carried. And we can adopt that.
Adoption?
Second.
All those in favor? Motion's carried. And the zoning amendment 1772 for third reading.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor? Motion's carried. And the zoning amendment bylaw 1772 for adoption.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion's carried. All right, so that's all done except for adoption of the park dedication bylaw, which will happen next meeting. So the next one is for zoning bylaw amendment, RZ 13-6, and it's actually bylaw 1764. This is the medical marijuana regulations for third reading.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Councilor Price?
I just was reading about the Nanaimo experience in the paper, and it was just saying their plant now employs 60 people, and I'm talking about security guards and video cameras watch the building behind chain link fence, and a walk-in vault secures the product. It's like a bank within a prison.
Yeah, it's a pretty big operation. Perhaps they've cornered the market.
Think of the building as a bank inside a prison, filled up with toasters we're trying to cool.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting operational. But I think on the security side, I think we have to make sure that the landscaping is good, so people aren't looking at the chain link fence.
Yeah, it remains very much up in the air as to whether or not you'll see anything proposed for this area,
Yeah.
given the size and scale of that production in the Duke Point area. Yeah.
That just made me think, do we have something in place that could control the size of such a facility, like maximum square footage?
Planner can speak to that hopefully.
No. So it would be treated like other industrial uses. They would, of course, there'd be a limit in terms of having to meet setbacks in terms of just parcel configuration and maximum height. They would also have to meet our landscape guidelines that are in the permit areas. So they would not going to break on those. We do allow fencing. We do have different allowances for fencing in our industrial areas as opposed to in our residential areas. And again, they would have to abide by the same regulations that other enterprises
I think given the current uncertainty between home production and industrial production and court cases, you probably won't see any applications coming forward. But we're ready if they do. All right, anything further on third reading? All those in favor? Motion's carried. And then adoption of bylaw 1764.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion's carried. All right, at page 51, we have the OCP amendments, and this is bylaw 1754 regarding the
Moving.
Heron trees for third reading.
Move.
Second?
Okay, at third reading, all those in favor? Motion's carried. And for adoption,
Move adoption.
Second.
all those in favor? Motion's carried. All right, so that completes those bylaws coming out of that public hearing. Special reports. We have for receipt the annual report from our finance director on taxes and fees on an average single-family home.
Move receipt.
Second.
Second.
On receipt, any questions for our Director of Finance? Seeing none, thank you for your work on that. And to summarize your words, there is good news here. The average single-family homeowner is facing only a $30.58 increase in taxes, of which just under $18 is due to the town taxes, the rest being library and hospital district, along with garbage and sewer increases of $24 and $27 respectively, for a total increase of $89.58. And of course, that's for the average home. And the information is detailed on page 6. Yes.
And you already know that we'll get blamed for the entire tax increase, but it's nice to know that our portion is quite small. And, I'd just also like to point out the 0% tax increase for business, I think, is one of the true good news stories that we've had for our downtown in several years. And we had our BIA meeting last night, and they were absolutely thrilled with that. And, they truly see the council is really trying to do some good things for the downtown. So it was much appreciated, but I think it's a really good news story.
Well, hopefully they feel the same way in about a week when they get the tax
Well,
notice in the mail.
that's why I said we're going to get blamed for it all anyway.
All right, all those in favor? Motion's carried. Moving on to page 63, we have the recommendation from planning regarding 221 Glacier View, and it's an amendment to DP 14-7, to DP 11-3 by way of DP 14-7. Added the following as a condition of permit: landscape security $71,540.74, a portion thereof in accordance with approved phase strata plan is payable at the time of building permit.
I'll move that.
Second.
Moved and seconded. And staff, I know, have explained what this is all about, but essentially this allows the developer to hold off on posting that bond until such time as they're ready to proceed, which I think is a good move. Those in favor? Motion's carried. At page 67, we have a development variance permit application DVP 14-3 regarding 1390 Guthrie Road, which is the Public Works Parks project that town is carrying out. The recommendation from staff is that that variance be issued. We can move that and have a discussion if you wish.
Move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. So, planner, maybe you can just give us a brief explanation of that.
Certainly with redevelopment of the public works yard, essentially the perimeter secondary servicing road that would go along the east section of the proposed buildings and then along the south section between the Guthrie lot line and the buildings themselves. In addition, where the parking area is set back from Torrance, there would also be a requested variance. Those privacy or amenity implications would then be offset through the provision of fencing and landscaping. So we don't anticipate that these will be high traffic areas, and that the landscaping and fencing will be sufficient to provide necessary.
All right. Any questions for our planner? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion's carried. And you'll note at the top of this report, this is a short form report. We're streamlining minor variance applications, so hopefully council sees sense behind that going forward, and thank you for staff for bringing that to us. All right, so we'll move on to, sorry, go ahead.
Was staff looking for formal support from?
Unless anyone objects, I think we're going to proceed.
No, unless there's any concerns.
Oh, no, none at all. I was just wondering if you wanted formal.
We'll give you the gold star.
Your worship, I understand that takedown of one of the buildings was quite difficult on the site there.
Yes. The Parks building is gone down.
Difficult?
It took a
Yeah,
one
took
finger
one
push.
nudge.
You bumped into it?
Pretty much. The excavator bucket just touched it and essentially it came down.
So say it wasn't earthquake resistant.
Well, it might have bent in it. right?
Survived that rainstorm, so.
Well, that's good news, that project is moving forward. Did you want to comment briefly on the tender, or are we going to do that next week?
We'll do that next week as we wait on the results.
All right, so for receipt then, we do have the CBRD board meeting minutes of April 24th and 29th.
Move.
Second?
On receipt then, all those in favor, motion is carried. All right, at page 87, we have for formal adoption, bylaw 1774, which is the financial plan bylaw. Motion to adopt would be in order.
Move.
Second?
Adoption, all those in favor, motion is carried. Tax rates bylaw 1775 for adoption.
Move.
All those in favor, motion is carried. And again, thank you to staff for expediting the budget process this year, making it relatively painless. And good job all around. Point Homes Local Area Service Parcel Tax Bylaw Amendment Number 3, which is bylaw 1777 for adoption.
Move.
All those in favor, motion is carried. And bylaw 1783, which is the Kai Bay Water and Sewer Service Debt Repayment Parcel Tax Bylaw Amendment.
Move.
First, second, and third reading.
First, second, and third reading.
Second.
Second, all those in favor, motion is carried. Takes care of bylaws. At page 99, we have the report from staff for, in regards to building inspection services. And the council is to receive this information at this time.
Move receipt.
Second.
Moved and seconded. See, I'll just ask you to comment on it, or perhaps the planner, whichever is appropriate.
The planner can add anything that I missed, but essentially this is a combination of effort from our new building inspector and Marvin and his staff in terms of continuation of trying to streamline processes and make things easier for the public. And as we're down to one building inspector at the present time, having somebody come in to apply for a plumbing permit when the building inspector isn't present requires an additional trip and further delay. So we've come up with this process that essentially allows the individual to come and apply even if staff aren't present, and it's only really the inspection that they're applying for, and then we pick it up, and everyone's happier for the effort.
So I take it this is being implemented almost as we speak.
Correct.
Any questions?
Sounds great.
Thank you again for streamlining. All those in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you to our new building inspector for bringing that forward. All right, at correspondence, we have a number of letters. First of all, we'll deal with the Highland Secondary School grad crews.
Start with move receipt, and are they asking us for anything here?
Granting permission.
Yeah, and the grant information.
And second that?
Is it seconded? Anything else we have to worry about there, Chief?
No, it's just we assume that approval is granting permission with the usual provisions that they provide us with insurance and everything else that goes with it.
All right, Councilor Fletcher.
Just curious on the route, is there going to be a time where Comox Ave is going to be compromised because of the Stewart Street works?
At this point, I think they've already crossed the road.
Across the road?
Yeah, they've crossed the road. We'll find out if that affects them or not.
They're working up Stewart on towards Alderman.
What?
All right, anything else? All in favor? Motion's carried. Comox BIA President Vaughn Smith has sent us a letter asking for permission for some closures on the dates specified in June, July, August, and September for a night market on the third Thursday of those months, and also for the Sunday, August 3rd market, which is during the nautical days.
It would move receipt and that we grant permission.
Second?
Second? Councilor? No? Okay. Well, that's great to see. I know they did it during nautical days, and it's going to be neat to see it at night.
Yeah, and it was met with a lot of people saying, boy, it's about time we're going, so this is the next step.
All right, excellent, good work. All those in favor? Motion's carried. Letter from Michael McLaughlin of Rural Futures, request for support for funding application, and this relates to the marine tourism specific to boating, and a letter of support from council being requested to support that initiative.
I move receipt and a letter of support.
Any discussion on that? See any issues there? It's obviously related to the recreational boating sector.
And yes, it seems to complement the work that we're trying to do to attract more people to go down to the waterfront and attract boaters here. So I think it'd be great to support them.
And I know that the Harbour Authority with their additional mortgage for transit boaters has already seen great uptake on that in the last year or so. Councilor Fletcher?
And I know in their letter, they indicate that we should identify recent or planned additions to our marine harbor, so I assume you would give it a plug for the intended works that we'd like to see.
Well, along with the Harbour Authority's work, yeah. Okay. Those in favor then? Motion's carried. All right, next letter is a letter from the Comox Town Residents Association regarding the downtown revitalization program. So we received that letter and then the accompanying memo from their CEO, and I just will ask him to comment then on the public input process.
I would move that.
For receipt?
Yep.
On receipt then, all those in favor? Motion's carried. CEO, over to you.
Thank you, Worship. Regarding to this process, once we bring forward the bylaws, which will come forward to the next meeting, there is a requirement for a public notification process, particularly for the tax exemption bylaw. We'll be putting the ads in the paper and page requesting any feedback that the public may want prior to adoption of those bylaws. And further to some of the comments in the letter, as I pointed out in my memo, just for clarification, through the establishment of the vitalization program, council isn't pre-approving anything or any particular project. There will still be the requirement for public hearings for any rezonings that have projects that are coming forward.
Thank you. Ms. Price?
Yes, and that's where I have the level of comfort that anything over 3 stories, there will have to be a public hearing. And I did want to see some consultation beforehand, so the public notification will be a step in that. So the public notification, though, on the bylaws is not a public hearing. It's an opportunity for people to write in.
Correct.
So it will be a notice in the paper, or will we have an open house?
We're not proposing an open house. What we are proposing is the required notice in the paper. We'll put it on our town website. We can put it out through Twitter. We can put it on our Facebook page and try and broadcast it as wide as possible.
And how long will people have from notification?
Approximately 2 weeks, if not more.
And there'll be full details of what they're being asked about.
We'll have the package of information available both in town hall as well as a place online that people can access the information.
Thank you.
And I think it's also worth pointing out, I know it's covered in the CEO's memo, but in terms of their concern around 4- and 5-story condo buildings not reflecting public input in the OCP, there's been many meetings of OCP-related issues being discussed over the course of 2010 and 2011, and specifically there were some sites identified in that process for higher heights, of course subject to public hearing and rezoning on the basis of satisfactory amenities being provided, and those include, among others, the hotel site, the Legion site, the Comox Mill, and at least one other. So we certainly have that reflected as public input into our OCP, and certainly, again, as Councillor Tom Grant pointed out previous meeting around this, looking at implementing the OCP. So we'll take it forward from there in terms of the incentive package, which many other communities have been looking at. Yes.
And it should be noted that any public feedback that's given, not in a public hearing, is made available to councillors through letters that are made available in our offices. So we do have access to each and every one of that bit of public input.
Any further, Councillor Wright?
Yeah. I have to take real exception with the last statement, the last sentence in that letter, where it says that, poorly researched and poorly researched and discussed development took away one of our OCP protected views and remains virtually empty to this day. And I believe they're talking about that building at the foot of Church Street. And when we talk about view corridors and protecting view corridors in our OCP, we didn't mean to sterilize private property from development. And that building met all the requirements in both the OCP and the zoning bylaw. And I have to take real exception when this one gentleman continues to rag on about that, when that view never belonged to the citizens of the town of Comox. That view was private property, and we can't go around sterilizing private property from development because of perceived ownership of that view. So,
Right, thank you for that.
I would point that out.
All right, so in favor of receipt, we've already done that, so there's nothing further coming forward. We'll move on to the next item. That would be a receipt from the Prime Minister, a letter from the Prime Minister regarding the National Day of Honor on May 9th.
Move receipt.
Second?
It's been seconded, and it's worth noting that Acting Mayor Swift, I think, is going to be at the parade on Friday morning at 19 Wing, which has been convened by the base here, so thank you for doing that on the ICT meeting. So. That's fun. Apparently, one last brief was scheduled, but obviously, we certainly support the military here in our community, and a number of them have served overseas in Afghanistan in particular, so certainly glad that we're able to partake in that event. All those in favor? All right, next letter is from the Hartsbrook Foundation representative here on the annual Big Bike event. What's that?
Move receipt. Move we grant them their request.
All right, and all those in favor? Motion's carried. And page 129, we have for receipt a letter from Tennis BC, which was actually read out at the ceremony of the opening of the tennis courts.
Move receipt.
Second. All those in favor? Motion's carried. And the letter from the regional district, and not only are we looking for a receipt, but we're looking for support, I assume at this time, CAO, that we support the adoption of the Victim Services Crime Stoppers Amendment bylaw.
I'll move receipt and that we grant them their support.
I'll second that.
Seconded, and just to refresh, that of course is to add some funding for Crime Stoppers, which of course they had been requesting from each of the municipalities, and $12,000 annually starting next year. Those in favor? Motion's carried. Before we get to the last correspondence item, I will be declaring a conflict on that due to my friendship with the project manager. And before I step away from the table and let Councillor Swift take the chair, I just will give my brief councillor's report. And you guys can carry on with the rest of it, and I can head on my way.
Hockey game order. What's going on?
Apparently the grass needs to be cut. I will just report briefly that I had the Rob Road Grade 3 class here, another Grade 3 class here on April 22nd, on Earth Day, and that was a lot of fun. Lots of good tough questions from these Grade 3s. Some in English, some in French, so I really did the test. Attended the public hearings that most of the council was at. I also participated for the second year now in the Premier's Public Service Awards judging panel in Victoria on April 24th. That was an interesting morning, seeing submissions from all across the province on various improvements and innovation and other attributes of public service. And the awards for that will be held in October. Attended the Anderton Park Tennis Courts reopening, the Snow to Surf Race Awards ceremony, the elected officials forum regarding transit, and this past Sunday, the Battle of Atlantic Memorial Service. And then just this afternoon, along with Councillor McKinnon, attended a tour of the Tradewinds complex with Mr. Robert Ash, one of his property managers. And most of the rest of council is in that tour already. So that's my report. Over to you, Councillor Swift. You get the job. And I'll bid you all fun.
Well, media didn't want to talk to him. Or maybe they did, that's why he's gone.
Oh, dear. Okay, so we got, moving back up to the letter from Jim Whitehead from the Comox Town Residents Association regarding the Lorton Tower development.
Let's move receipt.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion carried. Any discussion?
I just got a quick question of the planner. Will we see both the plans, because we're waiting for them to submit a plan for a higher building, a greater number of stories, and they originally put in a 3-story plan. Will we get to see both the plans that they've been working on?
So we currently don't have an application as such, so we're waiting for the submission of an application. At that time, the council wished to take a look at their previous conceptual drawings. That could be available.
Great. Good, thank you.
Okay. That's done. Okay, so reports from council. Councillor Price, please.
Okay, yes, well, I attended the public hearing. As acting mayor, I was at the annual dinner for Christ for Youth. I was at the grand opening of the refurbished youth tennis courts at Anderson Park. And I also attended the elected official transit forum at the RD. And I did go to the Glacier View Lodge fundraiser chances, and actually won. Just surprised. And I also attended the Social Planning Council meeting. The Quality of Life report goes to publishers on Monday, so it will be ready for the AGM. And I also attended the Comox Archives and Museum meeting, and attendance is up, and lots of positive feedback from visitors on the space and the exhibits.
Okay, thank you. Councillor McKinnon.
Thank you, Your Worship. On April 25th, I attended the Comox Valley Art Gallery Project Watershed Celebration and Exhibition. April 26th, the Multicultural Big Band event at the Elks Hall. April 29th, the Tri-Council Transit Review Forum, along with a number of other councillors. May 2nd, attended a concert at Little Red Church. It's a great venue. It's a full house there, and hopefully that continues. And certainly a lot of people locally are using that venue. And on Sunday, I attended a Highland Grad fundraiser and croquet for Yana, which was a big success here locally. And that's my report. Thank you.
Okay, and Councillor Tongren.
Thank you, Your Worship. As you know, I was away out of the country for most of the last session, but I did make it back in time to go to the Tri-Council Elected Officials Forum on Transit. So that's all I have to report.
Thank you. And Councillor Fletcher.
Thank you. Since we last met, unfortunately I missed some of the highlights. The opening of the tennis courts, I wasn't well, so I really regret that I missed seeing the mayor on the courts.
10-year-old?
But afterwards I attended the April 29th CBRD board meeting, and we had an excellent presentation from Southern Rail. Really exciting news via Iowa Corridor Foundation. I have circulated the entire presentation, and I encourage you all to have a look at it. It's a really good news story, and they're really committed to seeing that rail
sir?
Well, I attended on Monday night a BIA meeting at which we talked about the street markets, which we had on our agenda tonight, and that was a result of a lot of people asking us to do more of them, so that's gonna go on. We also talked about a paddle night on, I believe it was Tuesday nights, and those would be sponsored in part by the BIA and in part by a local downtown business. So they would be actually using our park in the evening. Can you imagine people coming there? You know, what would that be? So that was kind of an interesting one. And one of the highlights of the meeting was we did talk quite a bit about the Comox Town Residents Association's letter, and you can imagine that the Downtown Business Group had a very different opinion of their view. They actually do think that density and vibrancy are connected. They are very excited about our plan and think that we're definitely on the right track, and it was, you know, they're looking at it very positively as a real good step for getting vibrancy and helping our downtown. I also attended the public hearing, attended the regional board meeting on, what's it, 29th? 24th, I went to both. See, they just all blur into one. I also toured the Tradewinds apartment buildings with Bob Ash, and went down to Parksville and toured their affordable housing one, which the name escapes me right now. Went down and did that tour as well. So, and I will say that Hugh was at our BIA meeting on Monday night too. He forgot to mention it. So, as the alternate, I thought he should come and see what we got going on there. So, yeah.
Right. Okay, and since I last reported in, I have attended the public hearing that most of you were at. I attended the regular Philbird board meeting, which they meet at the end of the month. And I would just like to remind everybody, if you're interested in a membership to the Philbird, online it's $25, and it's just available till the end of the month. So it's a good idea if you're interested. I did go to Hustwick Place, which is the development in Parksville, and had a tour down there. And I did go to a tour of the Tradewinds apartments here. I attended the elected officials forum on transit, the tennis court opening, and it was great because the rain held off until the official parts were over. I attended the Philbird Volunteer Coffee, which is an opportunity to get to know some of the volunteers and hear about some of the other special events that are coming up for Philbird. I attended, in the place of the mayor, the Small Business Awards, and again, it was really interesting to see the diversity of businesses that are in London Valley. I attended as standing in for the mayor again, the A.J. Taylor First Aid Competition, which took place at Isfilm School, and there were teams from Powell River and as far south of Duncan, so that was really interesting. And I think that's it for me. Okay, so there are no late items. Media questions? Public questions?
Thank you, your temporary worship. Don Davis from Comox. Just a little bit of an aside. It's not a question. I can put it in the form of a question if you wish for the National Day of Honor for Afghanistan. I've just recently heard from the president of the Courtney Legion that they're hosting a small little parade on Friday at 1 o'clock. So if any of the council members, and we're quite pleased to see that yourself is going to the base, but if anybody is available for Friday at 1 o'clock at the Courtney Legion, I'm sure that all veterans and Legion members would be more than proud and glad to see you there. Thank you for that opportunity.
Thank you. So Courtney Legion at 1 o'clock on Friday. Yeah. Okay, there's no need to exclude the public, so adjournment.
Move.